Welcome back into Wake Up America. House Republicans voting yesterday to advance 4 consecutive spending bills that are now going to move to the House floor for debate, with a government shutdown still looming at midnight on Saturday.
Joining us now for more on that is Montana Congressman, former Navy SEAL, and the Secretary of the Interior under President Trump, Ryan Zinke. Sir, thanks for joining us. I know you worked late. Talk to us about where we are now. Where do we stand on getting these spending bills passed and avoiding a government shutdown?
Well, where we are is we're doing what we said we would do. We'd pass appropriation bills. Remember, the appropriation bills, we came in and 2 objectives: curb the spending, remove the woke, and we did. Now, the first series of what I would think are the most important bills, defending our country, the Ukrainian funding is largely removed, and that deserves a separate discussion. And then, of course, we have our border. You know, a lot of people don't see China, they don't see Ukraine, but they see the border every day in every city. And what this bill does, the border security bill, is basically, looks about 32 feet high and about 1,000 miles long, and empowers the Border Patrol and ICE to do their duty, and it gives surveillance up front by also curbing the budget. So you got to defend the border. You got to make sure we have defense, and you have to make sure we keep our promise to our veterans, and that's what's going to be on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. But Senate Democrats clearly have other things in mind. They passed their own bill. Kevin McCarthy's in a tough spot here. The Washington Post, as a government shutdown looms just days away, no agreement in sight. By the end of the week, McCarthy could have to make a defining decision: either put an expected bipartisan Senate stopgap bill on the House floor and risk his speakership, or side with the hard right legislators in his party, triggering a government shutdown Saturday. How does this play out? What does he do?
Well, I think we can continue to do what we said we'd do and pass the appropriation bills. Now, these are the most conservative Republican appropriation bills, spending bills, if you will, ever. So we follow the process. They're germane. Let's pass them out. And look, if we get these out the floor and we get them over to the Senate will pick them up. And, I don't want to shut down. What I concern the shutdown is, because I was secretary when the last shutdown came in, and a secretary has a lot of latitude in what's in or out and what's deemed critical and essential. Well, I didn't shut down parks, but nor did I shut down offshore rig inspections, et cetera, et cetera. But a shutdown could mean our troops are not going to get a paycheck.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can tell you as a commander, don't mess with the sailors' pay.
Right. Well, look at the work that they do.
Exactly.
Congressman, you mentioned Ukrainian funding in the beginning of our discussion. Walk us through, what are you proposing? What are Democrats proposing? What's going to happen here?
Well, I was a Navy SEAL, and I went on a lot of missions and battles in my lifetime, but I've never went on even an operation without objectives and a plan. And we are committing billions of dollars in Ukraine, basically a blank check. We're paying for pensions and equipment. We don't know what's going on. Now we have cluster bombs. And where it comes down to, many members like myself, is, look, I want to know objectives and a plan. I think the administration, President Biden, owes the American people and Congress what's the plan in Ukraine. Because right now it doesn't seem we have a plan. I've asked the highest levels of government, both foreign ambassadors and our government, what's the plan? They don't have one. It's crickets. It's time we have a plan, clearly defined objectives in Ukraine.
Yeah, and the administration is blaming House Republicans. The American people, that Washington Post poll, if we shut down, the American people, by and large, are going to blame the White House. That's the way it goes. The buck stops with the president. Obviously, if we shut down, it's terrible. You mentioned military retirees. They're going to be impacted. VA recipients. You're a former Navy SEAL. You know this better than anybody. But Ukraine funding is what ultimately could hold this bill up. Is that accurate?
Well, I think we're going to remove the Ukraine funding out of it, as we should. But here's the irony of it. As a government shutdown, our troops don't get paid, but the Ukrainian troops do.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because how ironic is that?
Yeah.
But I think on defense bill, the defense bill again, the question of Ukraine, how much in funding is largely segregated out, and that deserves a separate discussion. Yeah. The appropriation bills today really don't fund Ukraine to any significance at all. But the larger question is, what are our objectives and what's the plan in Ukraine?
Yeah, great points, Congressman. Thanks so much for being with us. Keep us posted. I'm not sure if you got any shut-eye overnight. I saw members trickling out at like 5 in the morning
Look, you know, I always say, look, in trench warfare, even a yard can be a long ways.
You got that right.
But do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Congress, step up the plate and actually get things done.
That's what coffee's for.
Yeah,
Pick you
come
up.
back and see us soon. We appreciate you breaking that down for us.